Hello, welcome to this lesson where we are looking at inverse variation as the second lesson of this topic. It's a grade 11 topic as we prepare for people that are writing their, as we are preparing people that are writing their GCE exams. Okay, so we are looking at inverse variation. What is involved in inverse variation? In an inverse variation, we have an opposite relationship where as one variable increases, the other one does what? Decreases. One is increasing, the other one is what? Decreasing. Okay? That is the inverse relationship. When one variable is increasing, the other one is reducing. Okay? Like in this case, the curve looks like this. Okay? The curve looks like this. So, for instance, look at this one. Okay? If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one comes down, then here we say 2, 4, maybe let's also write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? So look, at 5 only, this part, on the vertical part here we've got, if this one increases, we have 6 here. This one, it will be what? At 1. So we can have, you can think of relationships that are opposite. Okay? You can think of relationships that are opposite. As one increases, the other one reduces. I don't know if this could be a good example of a person, as a person is getting maybe getting to have more money. Could it be true that their poverty levels are reducing? Okay? The more money you have, then the less poor you become. Something like that. Money is increasing, then poverty is reducing. I don't know if that is a good example, but we are just looking at a situation where one is increasing, then the other one is what? One is increasing, the other one is reducing. Okay? So there's an inverse. It's an inverse. There's an inverse relationship. That is why we are saying it's an inverse relationship, where one is increasing, the other one is reducing. Now, we are talking about an inverse. So if y varies inversely with x, inversely with x. So we are looking at the inverse of x. Even in mathematics, this word is, what is the multiplicative inverse, if you like. What is the inverse, multiplicative inverse of this? It becomes, it's 1 over what? 1 over x. That is where it's coming from. 1 over x. The inverse. So if y varies inversely with x, then we have this case here, where y varies inversely with the inverse of this one. So 1 over x. Okay? So, and the equation that we are going to be using under inverse, it's where we have k multiplied by 1 over x. And this gives us what? K over x. So this is the equation that we are going to be dealing with. Are we together? This is the equation that we are going to be dealing with. So we have to, this was, I've explained this part. Then we have examples here. Even get rid of this part here. Okay? So this is the equation that we're going to be dealing with. This is the equation that we're going to be dealing with as we are coming from the inverse of, the inverse is going to be 1 over x, then you multiply it by the constant. So it will be like this. The equation of the what? The inverse variation. The equation of the inverse variation is going to be k over x. It's coming from the multiplication of that. So this 1 over x. So we've got an example here that I want us to look at. So we are saying, given that y varies inversely with x, varies inversely with x, meaning 1 over x. Okay? Now, because we're dealing with the inverse value, we need to have this. Remember, I've demonstrated where this equation is coming from. So this is the equation that we're going to work with here. Okay? When y is equals to 4, y is equals to 4 when x is equals to what? 7. When x is equals to 7, what is the constant? The constant is k. What is the value of k here? The constant of variation is k. What do? Cross multiply. We have k is equals to 28. The value of the constant, which is a, it is 28. All right? So we proceed now. We need to rewrite our equation. The equation now that we are going to be working with is going to be 28, which is k over x. This is the equation. We have replaced k with its actual value. All right? So from this point now, we need to solve. Okay, so now this takes us to the second part. The equation connecting, it's this. This is the equation. This is the equation that they want here. Then lastly, which is C, under this question, we need to look at the value of y. If x is equals to 2, what is the value of y if x is equals to 2? So remember, we are using this what? This equation. We are using this very simple equation. What is the value of y when x is equals to 2? So you say 28 divided by 2. What do you get? 2, yeah? This is what is going to be our answer. I have answered the first question, and having done that, we can proceed to consider the second question. Remember, we are looking at inverse variation. What is inverse? It's the opposite. Okay, it's the opposite. Okay, relationship. It's an inverse. When one is growing, the other one is reducing. Okay, I've got that kind of an arrangement. So, if y varies inversely as the square root is this one. The square root of x, the square root of x is this one. So, as y varies as the square root inversely, so we're going to have the square root here of x. So the equation now is going to be k over the square root of x. This is, we have written the equation now. We need to find the actual value of k, remember. We need to find the actual value of k. K is a must find. When and y is equals to what? Y is equals to 2. Then x is equals to 4. X is equals to 4. So, we have this case. K is equals to 2. Okay? Arguably here we can have plus or minus 2 because we are supposed to get 2 values. But let's go with 2. I should think even a negative will be able to give us the same answer. Okay? So, then we should proceed to say, what I was trying to say is that you know that the square root here of this 4 is positive or negative. So what I'm trying to say now is, let's find the value of k here. The value of k is going to be equals to 4. What if we had 2, then k over negative 2? The value of k is going to be equals to what? Negative 4. Okay? If we went with the negative one. So meaning, I'm going back to our equation. I just want to test if we're going to have a true. I'm going back to our equation now, where we are saying y is equals to what? K is equals to 2 over the square root of what? X. Remember, I'm saying it's also possible that, oh, what am I doing? The K is 4. Y is equals to 4 over the square root of X. The other one I said if, because the square root is supposed to give us, and the question did not specify that K must be positive. So I'm just trying to try both the values. Okay? So now, this is the value of, and I also want to see what would happen if we have K is equals to negative 4 over the square root of what? The square root of X. Okay? So now, find the value of what? Find the value of Y in terms of, find the value of Y in terms of what? In terms of, find the value of Y in terms of X. So the value of Y in terms of X, it is either this one or that one, which in other words, where in other words we can just say this is positive, this is going to be positive or minus 4. Okay? That is this one. The value, find Y in terms of X. This is what we are going to get. Okay? This is what we are going to get. Okay? So, okay? So, we'll say, find the value of X when Y is equals to 4. So now, remember at this point, okay, let me ignore this part. So we have Y is equals to 4 there. Then we have 4 over, the square root of. Now, remember we want to find the value of what? So if I want to make this part the subject of the formula, it will still be like, we have the square root of X this side, then 4 over 4 here. Alright? We have 4 over 4 here. Now, you should be able to understand that at this point, we have, this is the same as, this is equals to, we have 1 here when you divide. Alright? And how do we solve such an equation? You multiply this one by this one. We need 1 over 2 multiplied by it's the reciprocal of this one, which is 2. We also do the same thing this side. So X is equals to 1. Okay? Now, at this point, if you remember, there's a point at which I had said we are going to have, I think we had something like K over this. So I said we needed, this was given as what? This was given as 2. So I said let's try for both, and for both the positive or negative here. Now, you discover that even when you work with the, for instance, the negative, if this was a negative here, because there was a 4, if this 4 is a negative, when you divide, you are going to have negative 1. Now, that negative 1, when you square it again, when you square negative 1, it will still bring us back to this one. So both values, whether negative 4, what I'm saying is this one. If you are going with the negative 4, this is going to be is equals to negative 4 divided by 4. Then this is going to be 1 over 2 divided by, multiplied by 2. And then this is going to be negative multiplied by what? So X will still be 1, whether we go with this way or this way. Alright? So that is the value of X here. the value of x is 1. The answer that is talking about the equation there, or y in terms of x, it is this one, y in terms of x. And I did say that this could either be a negative or a minus. We are still going to get the same answer here. All right, so let's look at the last question. This question is coming from one of the past papers. I'm not sure which year. You can try to confirm. So it is given that v varies inversely as the square. Now you see the difference between the square root and square. The square of t is this one. Square root of t is this one. Okay? Now this one talks about the square. So v varies inversely as the square. So varies inversely as the square of what? So it will be k, which is the constant, over this one. This is how the equation must be written here. And some corresponding values are given here. So now we want to find the value of k, which is not here. We know it's a constant. Then a as well as b. Okay? So now we are going to use these two. V is 25. V is 25 here. When t is 2, v is 25. So this is going to be what? This is going to be 2 squared. So 25 is equals to k over, what do we get? We get 4. K is 100. So we have the value of k, we got it as 100. K is equals to 100. So now we go back to write our equation as it's supposed to be. This part, you put our 100, which is k. Then now we want to find the value of a. What are we supposed to do? Look, a is a v value. A is the v value. So in other words, we're asking, what is a or what is v when t is equals to 5? What is v when t is equals to 5? T value is given as 5, but v we do not know. So if you want, we can say, what is v? A is the v value. So I can say, what is a? When t is equals to 5. This 5 must be squared because this t is squared here. So we have a is equals to 25. What is our a? You divide, you get 4. So our a value is 4. Are we together? Our a value is 4. That's what we are supposed to do here. Then we go to the last one now, b. So b, it is the opposite. B, it is the opposite. B, we want what? V. What is V? When t, we want the value of t when V is given. V here has been given as what? 1 over 4. 100 over b squared. That is what we have. On t, we have b squared. So I'm writing b squared there. So at this point, we need to cross multiply. So we're going to have b squared is equals to 400. B squared is equals to 400. Then b, we take the root. What is the root of this? B is equals to what? Plus or minus 20. Plus or minus 20. This is what we can talk about under variation. These questions do come in the final exam. I think, okay, it's not this one. So these questions do come in exams, paper 1. We don't need to use a calculator because in paper 1 you are restricted. So make sure you are doing the practice on your own. the exams are very simple for people that are prepared. Okay, so as per our tradition, I'm going to give you some questions. Those questions are coming from this book. If you have this book, you can use it. That is where I'm going to get these questions. Okay, you have this book, you go to page, you see these questions here, you can try all these questions here, and try them. You just need many for your practice. For those of you that are sending us the exercises, you can do question 2 up to 6. You send your solutions. Okay, these questions are just there for your practice. You have this book, you can find them there. Thank you very much for watching.